Greetings, everyone. In this class, we're going to review word problems for systems of equations. You should have the Systems of Equations Word Problems Review worksheet in front of you. Again, continue to remember to be respectful in your own assigned seats, work through the problems together that we're going to do as a class, and use this video and this worksheet to study in preparation for your test. All right, let's jump over to number 5. Flip over to number 5. First, let's read through the problem to get a context of what we're talking about. At an all-you-can-eat barbecue fundraiser that you're sponsoring, adults pay $6, children pay $4, 212 people attend, and we raised $1,128. What is the total number of adults and total number of children attending? So, I'm dealing with money amounts and people amounts. So first, let's determine our variables. We always base it on the question. Number of adults, number of children is what we're trying to find. So X is adults and Y is children. Again, those could be flipped around. Let's underline all our numbers. I've got a 6, a 4, a 212, a 1,128. When I look at those numbers, some of them are money, some of them are people. So I know I'm going to have a money equation and a people equation. And I know I'm going to have totals and X's and Y's. So in this case, now let's circle which numbers are our totals. 212 and 1,128 are our totals. 1,128 is our money total. 212 is our people total. Well, I also have $6 for an adult, so that means 6 times an adult plus $4 times a child. Notice all three of these numbers are money. $6 money, $4 money, $1,128 money. For our people equation, I don't know how many adults, I don't know how many children. That's what I'm trying to find. So in that case, that means it's just X and Y. When you have no other numbers, that's a good hint that we'll just have an X and a Y. So we have our two equations. We need to choose a method to solve. I'm going to choose, in this case, elimination. They're all lined up perfectly. And I'm going to choose to eliminate the X. So what do I have to multiply this equation by? I need to multiply by -6 if I want the X's to go away. So let's distribute that -6. -6 times X is -6X. -6 times Y is -6Y. -6 times 212. All right, that might take a little bit of work. Get your calculators out. We're definitely going to have a negative number. And 6 times 212 is 1,272. We need to bring down our first equation so that everything's lined up. So we can do old school adding. -6 plus 6 cancels, as it should. That was my goal. -6 plus 4. -2y. -1,272 plus 1,128. If you're using your phone calculator, be very careful with negatives. My suggestion is to use or borrow a scientific calculator. But when we combine those values, we end up with -144. I've got a negative, but that's okay, because here when I divide both sides by -2, I'm going to get a positive y value. 144 divided by 2 gets me to 72. A nice clean positive number. I now need to find my y value. So I'm going to take this second equation, and where there's a y, I'm going to put a gap. And where there's that gap, I'm going to put my y value of 72. So to solve for x, all I have to do is subtract 72 from both sides. So if I take 212 Subtract 72. What do we get? 140. Now am I done? Not enough. I need to see labels. So my X was 140 adults and my Y was 72 children. That's how many number of adults, number of children attended. So make sure you answer that question and use your labels. Let's continue and work with number 6 next. I have a coin bank that has 250 coins, dimes, and quarters, and it is worth $39.25. How many of each type of coin are there? So notice my question. My question says, how many of each type, which tells me my X is a type of coin. I'm going to make it the dime. And my Y is a type of coin, and I'm going to say it's the quarter. Let's underline all our numbers. 250 coins, $39.25. Now, I know those are both totals, so let's start there. I'm going to have equals. I'm going to have 250 coins, and I'm going to have $39.25. Those are my totals. Well, I know every equation we've worked with so far in this unit has an X and a Y, so we can start with that. But my equations can't be exactly the same, so where are the other numbers? Well, let's identify our rows. This is coins, number of coins. This is their worth. What is each dime worth? A dime is worth 10 cents, or a tenth of a dollar. A quarter is worth a quarter of a dollar, 25 cents. So when you have money as a worth, then your value should be their worth as well. This time I'm going to change it up and I'm going to solve by elimination, or excuse me, by substitution. We just solved the last one by elimination, so for practice, let's use substitution. Which means step 1 is to get a variable by itself. I'm going to take the first equation and I'm going to get X by itself. So I'm going to subtract Y from both sides. And I have 250 minus Y. Step 2 is to plug my expression into the other equation. So if I take my second equation, where there's an X, I'm going to put a gap. And where there's a gap, I'm going to put my expression of 250 minus Y. Step 3 is to solve for your variable. Well, I only have Y's. I'm going to solve for Y. So first I have to distribute a tenth of 250, or 250 times 0.10. Essentially, all we're doing is moving the decimal point, and we end up with 25. 0.10 times negative y, 0.10y. That takes care of my parentheses. Next, I'm going to subtract that 25 to the other side of the equation. That leaves me with negative 0.10y, positive 0.25y. And if I have 39 subtract 25, if you're unsure, keep the decimal, 39.25, and subtract 25. You end up with a value of 1425. Okay. Again, if you're unsure, just use your calculator, type it in exactly as you see. Okay, let's combine like terms. I have a negative 0.10 plus a 0.25. So if I have a quarter and I subtract 10 cents, what do I have left? I have 15 cents. One last step, divide both sides by 0.15. I end up with y equals, definitely want your calculator here, there's no tricks around dividing this one. but we end up with a value of 95. So having 95 coins, that makes sense. I've got quite the worth of $39, and we're dealing with dimes and quarters, so that makes sense. I now need to find x though. So I need to plug this into either equation. I'm going to choose the first equation because it's a lot shorter. So instead of y, I plugged in 95. This is step 4, by the way. I'm going to subtract both sides by 95. So on the left side, that leaves me with x. 250 minus 95 gets me to 155. Well, that makes sense for the amount of coins. So now I'm not done. I need to write out my answers, my solution with labels. So according to this, I have 155 dimes and I have 95 quarters. So let's check. If I add 155 plus 95, I do have 250 coins. Also, if I plug it into their worth equation, that would also prove that I'm correct. So we've taken a look at 2 examples. You're going to work through the rest of those equations. If you finish and have time to spare, work on a previous worksheet. As always, your behavior, your efforts, the amount of work you do determines if this will be assigned as homework. But take advantage of this, use this study time. All right, we'll see you next time.